Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus here again. I find myself waking up this morning and I'm a little troubled. I'm thinking about you, the American people, my people, black people, men, women, white people, men, women, Americans, and people all over the planet. One thing I can say is that I've been around for a while, maybe a lot longer than many of you have. And for quite some time I've had compassion and concern about you, the people. I've done studies and researched over time. And I find out people can come up with all kind of reasons to put something down, to talk about the failures and the inabilities of some suggestions to be able to go forward. In relationships to government, in relationship to different systems that have not worked out for the people. To even talk about religion and where it came and why it exists, and does Jesus live or has he ever lived, or is anything in the Bible true? I've heard all kinds of reasons to put things down, and I've studied looking for people who have put things down to see what do you have to offer for a solution. One of the most recent things we talk about or think about is the fact that people are trying to knock out the health care plan that was put in by Barack Obama. They're finding all kinds of reasons to knock it down and yet have not even come up with one suggestion about what you're going to replace with it. They just say we're going to replace it. And that's the basic principles of life that I find that we're dealing with every day. Where is the answer? Where are the solutions? The things aren't working right. We see them every day. There's pain, there's suffering in every walk of life, and everybody is feeling some kind of residuals from it. My concern today is not what are the problems that exist. My concern is the solutions. And I'm not trying to say that I'm any wiser than anybody else. I perhaps have a less knowledge than many, but I do have a concern about solutions, about how this thing can be fixed. And I don't see anyone speaking about it to the degree that I can understand it, in hopes, ladies and gentlemen, that I might be able to pass it on to you. But there is one thought. For those of you who don't believe in God, you might think it's coming out of my mind, and I'm not going to deny that. But for those who do believe in God, I'm saying that if you have not come up with a solution, what makes me so more grander than you that I can come up with a solution? So trying to put myself at least on the level with you, I will say that the solution that I come up with is from God. And the solution is to be observed by everybody who would benefit from it. This is the solution, my friends. Mankind have all kinds of problems because they're trying to do things mankind's way. And mankind's way is a representative of mankind and his nature, his character, and that is to be deceitful and selfish. But I speak to you about a God that's a loving God who made all of us here on this earth and made this earth that we stand on and equipped this earth with all of the resources necessary to sustain life in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end. And I say to myself, how come I can't get this communication to you in a form and fashion that you can understand it? I'm saying that there are basic essential principles that's necessary for the survival of life, not just black men, but white men, not just men, but women, not just old folk, but children alike. And that is food, clothing, and shelter and education. My friends, we also recognize that people do get sick, and so it is also essential that we have wisdom about health care. And in order for us to meet all of these grand needs and wants and desires that we as human beings have, there's one way to exercise ourselves to acquire and extract the resources that have been made available. And that's through a gig. That's through a job. That's through a career for everybody. And everybody would benefit from this, and everybody should engage themselves in the process. In the process. So there would be none saying that I'm entitled and you are not. Everybody's entitled. Now that's the gift of God that I bring to you today. And I figure wherever there's pain, wherever there's suffering, you should change your ways. And those of you who are doing the suffering should be man enough, woman enough, bold enough, and daring enough to stand up, articulate the message, and refuse to settle for it any other way. Why should you go to school, have to go in debt, can't get a job when you get out, never pay the debt? Why should you have to go to the doctor and can't get it because you got no money? Why can't you live in housing and have food and clothing? Why? because you've been deceived by a liar, somebody who's benefiting from you. And they can't hide. They got millions and multi-million dollars that's bagged up, stacked up for generations to come, for their children while you suffer. I'm saying to you, God is the answer. I'm not talking about what somebody think about, what somebody says the history produces. I'm talking about right today. Tell me a man that made oil. Tell me a man that made trees and made all the resources that's in the earth. You can't find one any place. And if God did it, then no man can claim it as their own. But if using it can serve the purpose of human beings, then it is for that purpose for which it is to be used. And who will decide that who can use it and who can't? This, my friends, is an individual thing. If you don't want it, you don't have to have it. But if you need it, it's there for you. And if you've engaged yourself in the process, there's not a human being on the face of the earth. They got the right and the authority to deny you. I'm trying to cool myself because I'm trying to get, it looks like I'm trying to get frustrated. Ain't no need of me getting frustrated. You won't understand by my frustration. But I'm sick and tired, ladies and gentlemen, because just like everybody else that uses you, I could have done that. I could have used you because you are made to be used in such a way since you've been here. Oh, when my kids need this or that, I could have used you and made sure that my kids got this or that. But it is something more powerful than my greed, something more powerful than my life that guides this life, that tells me that if I'm going to live in any type of peace, I got to have a mind that is not my mind, but a mind that's much greater than mine. And that's the mind of creation. And so I stand before you today, not combing my hair. I haven't even brushed my teeth yet, because there's a message that's more important than that. And I've told you 1,000 times, but this morning you must hear it again, because there are those of you who've never heard it, who've heard the message and didn't get the message. But it is this moment in time that you will. And I stand before you telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that you are the solutions to your problem. But in order for you to know that, you got to stop trusting in the lie, stop trusting in the devil, stop trusting in Satan, and stop trusting in the liars of the slave masters, the murderers, and start trusting in God, the giver of life, the protector of life. But you got to make a choice. And I ask you today, who do you choose? Do you choose history? Or do you choose God, the forever now? That decision is yours. Bye-bye.